It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more. It's okay, we've been here before. Carry on the light, they won't know it hurts more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 286. If you're here with us live, I apologize for the slight delay. I'll get into that in a minute, but first, let me introduce my co-host, Davey Wavy, baby. Hello.
Hi, Ben. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I like calling you Davey Wavy, but sometimes it feels forced. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I don't have anything else better to say.
I like it because I've never really had any nicknames that I liked enough that like kind of sticked. And now that I'm pushing 40, I think it's kind of too late for me to adopt a new nickname. But you know what, Ben? If I was 20 today and you walked up to me and called me Wavy Davy, I guarantee you all my email addresses, all my handles on the internets would be Wavy Davy.
Yeah.
because I like it. So
Yeah.
keep it up, buddy.
Man, I used to. Oh, I still use it for some things, but my old handle for everything, like back in before the AOL Instant Messenger days, even, or no, maybe right in those days, my handle for everything was the Great Dennis because all my friends called me Dennis because like a teacher confused me with somebody named Dennis. It was a whole thing.
Did
And I
you
used
did
to
you
get out of
have
trouble.
did you have a stupid email address, like your first email address? Did you have a really bad one that you started to apply for jobs when you got older and you're like, you know what, it's probably time to change that email address? Because I really liked the Deftones when I was that age, and my first email address was be quiet and drive at hotmail.com.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did you have
my very first email address that I can remember for sure was sneeze288. And there is a story there. I can't 100% remember what it was. I'm talking like I was in like 4th grade, and my buddy and I had like code names for each other. And somehow mine was associated with sneeze, and then 288. And then I was like, well, I'm going to make a different one. Once Gmail came out, I was like in the first 100,000 Gmail accounts or something crazy. Like they used to number them when you got an invite because you had to get invited. So then it became The Great Dennis, and I used that for years. And then I started applying for jobs, and I put my like full birth date at the end of it because my name is Ben Smith. It is impossible to get a username Ben Smith unless you kill someone, and that is just not in the cards for me. So then you'd still have to know their password even if you did that. So yeah, then I created that, and I was like, that's probably not good either. So then I created another one too that's more like strictly. I haven't needed to use it in years, but strictly for like professional stuff. If I was going to, I don't sign up for any, mailing list or anything with it because all the other ones are polluted. But yeah, I had some cringy ones. Brandon, what was your cringiest? Brandon also here from Butler, Pennsylvania. Brandon and I live here. Thanks for reminding us of that, Tom. Brandon, what was your cringiest email you ever had?
I don't really think I had any cringy emails. Mine was pretty standard from the beginning. But if we're talking about nicknames, I have this new one that comes up. I've had some weird ones over the years working at jobs, and you never really choose them. Like they choose
Right.
you. That's
Yeah.
the thing about it. Some people always try and like slip it in. Like they want people to start calling them something, and then they start like calling themselves that. It never works.
Yeah.
It never works.
My name's Drew. I go by Drew now.
You don't get to choose it. I'm sorry. Especially if you work at a place where people don't respect you very much, then you definitely don't get to choose it.
Right.
But no, dude, everyone at work keeps calling me Redbeard. Like it actually caught on. And I don't dislike it. I mean, it's not untrue. But of all the years that I've had red facial hair, I guess it's about time.
I mean, Redbeard is a lot better than something calling you like Ginger Bitch or something.
Honestly, that would be hilarious. And I would respond because that's a pretty accurate descriptor.
So it's really funny, Brandon, because if you get an error when you're playing Sea of Thieves, they all the different errors are named something beard. You get a beard error. That's just the error. All the errors inside the game, and they all mean different things. But Redbeard is when you get permanently banned for cheating or exploiting or something like that. So a lot of players in Sea of Thieves will make their gamer tags like, their secondary gamer tags, of course, like red bearded player and stuff like that. So you fit right in. You fit right in. Dude. Yeah, apologies about the delay. I hit live, and as those of you who watch the show live may know, we usually stream on my YouTube channel, Ben is Handsome, on the HP YouTube channel, which is Handsome Phantom, and then because I can, and when we pay for the ability to, I just stream on my Twitter channel, my Twitter feed, because I've got a decent amount of followers, and I figure, what can it hurt? Maybe we find one extra person this week. And tonight, it just would not load, and it wouldn't tell me why. So we tried a couple things. I ended up having to have all of us reload and exit and come back in. And then I hit go live again, and it was like, you can't stream on X, Twitter. Sorry, I'm calling it Twitter, because you don't have a premium subscription. And I'm like, okay, so they just started that this week, apparently.
That's new.
So I might bump up for that, because honestly, we do get some interaction, and I get people who comment on it occasionally. And honestly, I've kind of been allured to some of the features that they have. And I think that's good. If you're going to make a product paid, don't just give you a nice little fancy marker. Make some of the features worth it. So I don't know. I might upgrade to that just so that I can stream on there again. But anyway, that's why we were a few minutes late. But if you're not here live, which a lot of you are not, many of you are not, you could support us on patreon.com/handsomephantom. Or if you are here live, I guess anybody can. Patreon.com/handsomephantom. We appreciate it very much. You can get ad-free early access to the show over at patreon.com/handsomephantom for as little as $1 a month, if you like. We also have our sometimes monthly, sometimes a little more than that show called HP After Dark, where we just mostly sit around and talk about whatever we want to talk about. The two most recent episodes, have been largely focused around Dave's recent vasectomy. Some semi-recent. So you can look forward to that if you sign up on the Patreon as well. You can also hang out with us on Discord, handsomephantom.com/Discord. We appreciate having you guys over there talking about weird shit constantly. I'm just constantly baffled. Like, I'm in a lot of Discords, and I frequent ours, my one for work, and then a couple others. And there's always weird stuff that happens on the internet, but our Discord is a particularly interesting place, I will say. So come on over and join us if you like. We'd appreciate that. You don't need to be a Patreon member. You don't need to be anything. Just hang out. That's all we ask. And don't be a porn bot.
Please.
Those are the only two requirements. Be a person And don't be a porn bot. How's your guys' weekend?
I'm trying to remember what the fuck day it is. It's Tuesday.
I saw something funny. You know the girl who sung the anthem at the home run derby last night.
Oh
And then
yeah,
she came up today and said she
she's
was
fucked
drunk
up.
because
Yeah.
the best comment I've seen is it was a really shitty weekend to be an ear in America.
Oh no, bro.
Ugh.
That's very true. Yeah.
Dude. I guess it wasn't really the weekend, it was Friday, but I watched Long Legs
Oh yeah.
over the weekend. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone seemed super hot on that movie, and I was kind of like in the middle. So I won't belabor anybody with my
I do want to see
interpretation
it.
of it.
I do want to see it.
Um,
And I
I kinda
don't
want-
take my wife to see it. So
Yeah, I kind of want to see it again. I don't know if I'll wait till it streams or what, but like I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it 100%. Maybe it is one of those ones. Maybe it's like a slow burn. You got to watch it again, but it's either clicking with people or it's not.
yeah.
Like there doesn't seem to be anybody that's like, yeah, this movie's fine. It's like either you don't get it or you do, and right now I just don't get it.
Mm.
And if you put the movie in like bullet points, I should love the movie. Like I should
Yeah.
love everything about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what it is, man.
Chat just reminded me this weekend is Twisters. You guys gonna see Twisters? Whether in the theater or not.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah,
huge
wasn't-
fan of the original.
I never watched the original. Wasn't Jimmy buzzing about
kidding me?
that? Dude, you could probably like name 500 of the most watched movies, and I probably wouldn't have watched like
It's just crazy because like Twister,
425 of them.
yeah, Twister was like one of those movies that everybody I knew saw, and even if you didn't see it in the theater, which I don't think I did, like it was on TBS and everything. It was everywhere in the '90s and even the early 2000s, probably.
It was the first like big summer blockbuster I recall.
Yeah,
like, living through. It was big.
I don't remember where.
I don't know about because I don't have a movie theater in the town I live in anymore, and and with the child, it's tough to go to the movies. I would really like to go to the movies, and I think I'm kind of saving my movie trip for Deadpool. I don't have high hopes for that, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to use it on Twisters, but
Yeah,
because they're literally shooting at tornadoes, which was a joke. But that's like the thing they show in the trailers, like they throw like firecrackers and stuff up in the tornadoes.
yeah.
America.
Brandon, in fairness, I haven't seen Twister in probably 5 years. But the last time I saw it, I remember thinking like, yeah, this is still good. So
Still good. Hold up.
you should watch it. It's a '90s movie. It's only an hour and a half, probably.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, it's back in the days when movies respected your time. So honestly,
no mo.
it's good. I don't remember, was it? I can't remember which amusement park it was. It was either Kings Island or it was somewhere in one of the Orlando parks. I can't remember specifically. There was a Twisters like experience. It wasn't a ride, it was an experience. And you went in and just like there was a big set piece there, and then it had all sorts of Twister stuff, and you got swept up with a bunch of wind and a little bit of rain, some mist coming out of some little things. And I remember being terrified of that as a kid. And I've never been in a real tornado. I did live through a hurricane. Literally, I lived in Jacksonville, and it came like right on the coast of Jacksonville, and I was pretty close to that. That was pretty scary, but I was also very young, so everything was probably pretty scary. But tornadoes,
Ain't nothing to fuck with, buddy.
no. They tell me a tornado's coming to my house, I'm out of here. I'm not trying to get in the basement or anything. I'm leaving.
You're just gonna drive away. You can outrun it.
Which direction is the tornado in? Point me in like whatever the compass opposite of that is, and I'm going there.
Damn, dude.
I have a actually very short gaming memory to share that's actually associated with Hurricane Sandy, I believe it was. That was the one who hit the Jersey Shore.
Yes.
So the night that we got the remnants of that, which I believe was October 31st, my dumbass decided to go to a midnight launch for Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh.
And it was the worst weather I've ever drove in, but I was really into the series at that point, and I'm glad I went, but it was scary. And the GameStop I had to go to was on the other side of the city I lived in, so it was not a quick drive. But yeah, that was that was pretty scary. But I would say it was worth it because midnight launches were sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were.
Back in the day.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say back in the day when they actually did this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Dave is cherishing it so much he drove through hurricane weather to get to it. That is dedication to the
Remnants.
series.
Yeah.
We call him a shill, but listen to what he does for Ubisoft,
There you go.
risking life and limb.
All right. Well, since nothing else interesting in our local communities happened this weekend, let's talk about some games. Number one.
Did you know the Jeep was made here?
I did know the Jeep was made
here. The first
here.
Jeep was made
The
here.
first Jeep. That was a long time ago, though. That
That's
wasn't
it,
recently.
though.
Yeah.
That's all that's ever happened.
Resident Evil 7 on iOS has reportedly been purchased by fewer than 2,000 people. This is an article from videogameschronicle.com. It says Resident Evil 7 is seemingly off to a slow start, according to sales estimates. According to analysis by mobilegamer.biz, based on estimates from App Magic, the game has been just over. It just says the game has been just over. I'm going to say, I have no idea what that's actually supposed to mean. Downloaded? Just over 83,000 times since it was released in July. In order to unlock the full game, players must pay $20. According to AppMagic, Capcom has earned $28,000 from the game. This figure is prior to the 30% cut that Apple takes being deducted from the figures. Once deducted, it leaves a figure that suggests that even with some generous rounding up, you land at under 2,000 paying customers. In June, it was suggested that ports of Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Death Stranding, and Assassin's Creed Mirage all had similarly slow launches. At the time, AppMagic head of content, Andrei Zubov, told MobileGamer.biz that he believed the outlook for console games on Apple devices wasn't positive. Now, boys, who could have seen this coming, right? Like, nobody's ever thought, like, mobile gaming is dumb. But, Brandon, I'm wondering, Resident Evil 7, great game.
Yeah.
But, wild sales, applauded wildly by many people. You really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this a game? I'm not just any AAA game. Is Resident Evil 7 a game you want to play on an iOS device? Your phone, an iPad even? I don't get it. I don't know why they thought this would work.
Absolutely the fuck not. And let's just say, let's even double the figure of 2,000 paying customers. That's still like stupid low. And by all metrics, probably registered as a failure. I don't even know that there's any sort of like over the desk magic that they can pull to present this to the stock shareholders to make it sound good in any way. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad and bad and bad. So if other things like this, like we've heard in the past, are planning on being released on iPhone, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them get canned.
Yeah.
We do know that like there's a giant push towards mobile gaming, but not necessarily like full-fledged games on phone devices, more like the Steam Decks and the Asus competitors and stuff like that. Like, that's super big around the world, and we've talked about that a lot of times. I just don't know that most people are trying to play AAA games, though, on their iPhone. Not to say that people don't play games on their phone, but we've even talked about in the past couple months how big of a hit Apple Arcade has taken.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like it was a big thing, and like they tried to flex their muscles at the past couple showcases about how look at these games running natively on iPhone and stuff like that. But like the numbers aren't showing that people are that interested, and they haven't been for a little bit now. So as much
like
as
more of a tech demo, really.
Yeah, which is fine. I just don't. I just would rather have these companies that make good games like Resident Evil not waste money on this and for some reason have to like skimp in another department because they chose to do this sort of thing. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's just like, I doubt they put that much R&D into this, but like, I would rather it be put into some place that makes sense and not this. So
Right.
I think we'll be seeing this going away here pretty shortly.
Dave, we've long talked about mobile games, and you can't deny that games like Candy Crush, Bejeweled, whatever the other mobile games are, Clash of Clans that are popular, they're making a killing. Like, Microsoft in part bought Activision Blizzard King for King because they make bank on their games. But do you see any future where people who are into AAA style games are interested in playing them on their phones? And I'm not talking about PlayStation Portals, the whatever those controllers are that you can hook into your phone. I'm not talking about that, where you're really playing on another device, but through your phone. I'm talking about natively on your phone. AAA games. Is it a thing?
I don't think so. And I think this was the test for Capcom and it was the test for Ubisoft. And I mean, you can understand the idea because the iOS install base is massive. The games that Capcom decided to try and throw out there have largely already made their money. So it's not like Capcom really had anything to lose apart from, as Brandon had alluded to, whatever R&D went into putting this natively on iOS. But I mean, the price tag is pretty steep. I think it was €20 or £20. Seemed like a lot considering what that game costs. Like the Resident Evil games are always on sale on PSN and Xbox. So I was a little surprised when I saw that price tag for something that was supposed to be a way to, see if people were interested in this kind of experience on an iPad or iPhone. And clearly it's not what people want. We all play mobile games, but I play like Marvel Snap and Wordscapes on my phone, and I think the most avid mobile gamers are playing, much less involved and more casual experiences on phones. So this just doesn't really work out. I remember seeing the Assassin's Creed Mirage running on like an iPad and thinking, I don't really want to play Assassin's Creed Mirage at 20 FPS, and I'm pretty sure a mobile gamer isn't going to be interested in this kind of thing either. So I don't know. Steam Decks exist for a reason, so I think this is Capcom just trying to penetrate a market that's not interested. So I do think this was a test, and ultimately it failed. So I don't think we're going to be really seeing too much of this. But looks like people have spoken, and but I mean, at the same time, if Capcom is interested in doing this with older titles, like, is this potentially found money? Like if assuming it didn't cost too much money to actually put these on iOS, then, why not?
It seems like even if it's found money, it probably still costs them, you would think, at least 25 grand, which is what, they brought in before Apple takes their cut. You would think it probably cost them more than 25 grand to port it. That's, conservatively couple 100 hours to port a game like that. I would think a big game like that where you got to test everything and it's not just a simple matter of remapping. You also got to do touch controls because they're not solely for controller. But here's the question though: is this a matter of people don't want to play games in that format, or people don't want to pay $60 for games in that format? If they put out a game, let's say Resident Evil 7, I don't know what it goes for. It's probably $20 right now. If you go to Walmart and try to find a physical copy, it's probably like $20. I'd have to guess.
I'd imagine. I don't think you can buy the vanilla version anymore, but
right. So let's say they put out this game for $20. Does it change? That's got to be a few more sales. I don't know if it's enough to justify it, but like, is the price point of full price games what's calling it back, or is it actually just the format? Dave,
I think it's like a double-edged sword, really.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it's like shit from both sides. I don't know. People for years have been trying to put out high-value, good quality games on Apple devices, and you don't want to like shit on your market, right? And this game has the advantage of being older, so people won't feel slighted by a game being cheaper. But when new developers release something, there's always the problem where it's like, we charge full price on PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
And then we charge a fraction of the price on iPhone. The other people are feeling like they're robbed. Now, I'm not saying it's a one-to-one experience, but what I'm saying is it puts them in a weird position. Apple games and iPhone games and Android games have also showed that like people just are not willing, even if it's a one-to-one. It kind of cuts both ways. People are not as willing to spend, even if it is the same game, as much on an iPhone, because it really is, in all sense of the words, a lesser experience. Even if it's the same game, it's just not. It's not one-to-one. At least it's not for most people, as it seems.
To your point, Brandon, this has been, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. When did Super Meat Boy Forever come out? I don't know. Whenever Super Meat Boy Forever was coming out, I remember them talking about it coming out potentially on iOS as well. And Super Meat Boy Forever, it's the follow-up to the very beloved Super Meat Boy. Huge game, speedrun central, like very hard in certain parts. And I talked to Tommy Rafenez, one of the developers of it, And when I was talking to him, I'm like, how are you going to put it? I think we were doing an interview with him, and I was like, how much is it going to be on iPhone? What's it going to be? Because it was I think it was a $20 game or something. And there's really only one or two button prompts because it's just you run forward, and the only thing you do is jump. And, you do different things by interacting with different things, but you really just jump. And it makes it a perfect iPhone game, of course. And I was like, how are you going to do that? And we hadn't seen $60 games, whatever. He goes, that's the problem. It's ready to go. We're just not sure what we're going to do because, like, if you put it out on iPhone for $20, no one's going to buy it. But if you put it out on iPhone for 99 cents, then everyone who bought it on PlayStation or PC or Switch or wherever else they bought it is going to be pissed they paid $20 for it. So we don't really know what to do. And I just looked it up. I didn't know if it had ever come to Super Meat Boy or to iOS. Currently in the US App Store, it is 99 cents. Now, I don't know if it's always been that much or what, but it's 99 cents. And granted, it's been years since it came out on the other platforms, but it says 2023. So last year it came out, and that's a few years after it came out everywhere else. So it's a tough market. Even if your game is good enough to charge $20 for it, do people want to pay that on a phone? Probably not. Not with all the free stuff there is. People would rather sit through ads and watch ads of other games ads being played. Dave, any other thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys there. $20 is a premium price tag on mobile platforms. So yeah, it's do you alienate your existing fan base, or do you try and sell units? It's kind of whatever it is. But yeah, no, I agree with you guys here. I think it's ultimately the experience or the format that's the issue. And some games are on PC and consoles, and some games are made for mobile. I don't think there's necessarily a cross section there. So
yeah, not all
rip Resident Evil on iOS.
I was gonna say it's a shame because now we won't get it. People will look at this and we won't get to see more of these types of things. But I don't actually care. That's the thing. Is like I don't actually care if there are more of these. So, rip. Oh well.
2,000 people. You're hurting 2,000 people, Ben. Really bad. By
R.I.P. Bozo. Do you think those 2,000 people actually played it, or they were just like, I got to buy this since I love Resident Evil? But then why would you play it? I don't know. I'm so cynical about mobile games. But you know what I'm not cynical about is Crash Bandicoot. There's a new report. This article is from GameVro.com. It says Toys for Bob's Crash Bandicoot 5 has seemingly been shelved during its development. Nicholas Cole, a character designer and illustrator who worked on Crash Bandicoot 4, hinted that this new game was canceled and that fans may hear some disheartening news soon. This news came from a Twitter post by Cole, who also mentioned that another game he worked on, Project Dragon, was canceled. He revealed that this new IP that the team was working on for 3 years was officially dead after internal efforts to save it failed. While some fans thought Project Dragon was a new Spyro game, Cole clarified it wasn't. More importantly, he hinted about the canceled Crash Bandicoot 5, stating it is not Spyro, but someday folks will hear about the Crash 5 that never was, and it's going to break hearts. In case you forgot, Toys for Bob is no longer a part of Microsoft or Activision or anything subsidiaries, but they had talked about the idea of a partnership, potentially with Crash Bandicoot, but it seems like Crash Bandicoot 5 is canned. Dave, kind of sucks. I really thought we were going to get a Crash Bandicoot 5, and maybe we still will, but Toys for Bob did such a good job with the Insane Trilogy. I really thought that's where it was going to come from.
Yeah, and Toys for Bob is an interesting example of an IP migrating to a new developer successfully. We've seen, especially when it comes to Microsoft, when Gears of War changed hands from Epic to the Coalition, it was a little bit rocky. And then obviously Halo, we all know what happened there with transitioning from Bungie to 343. And Toys for Bob, again, we're talking about Crash Bandicoot, so not a massive, or not on the same stratosphere as those two, but still, like, they did a really good job, and they were true to what made Crash Bandicoot so great. But they still iterated and they still evolved and they still gave fans what they wanted. So I'm kind of at a point where I can't, Crash Bandicoot was synonymous with Naughty Dog, and now I look at Crash Bandicoot and I can't see anybody other than Toys for Bob managing this IP. So it's a bit weird. I suspect, so at the end of May, Toys for Bob announced that they were working on a project that was being published by Microsoft. And they said that, it's really early in production. So, we won't hear about it for a long time, but perhaps this is Activision kind of saying, let's let Toys for Bob do their thing with Microsoft for now, and we'll let them get back to Crash Bandicoot once they're done with whatever they're working on. I also kind of want to say that I feel like we've been spoiled with Crash Bandicoot over the last 10 years. And we've got a lot. Like you think about the Insane trilogy, we've got Crash Bandicoot 4, we had CTR, Rumble, which wasn't as well received, but I recently watched a platinum video on that game and it actually looked really fun.
Rumble?
So, I mean, sorry?
Rumble looks fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. We've had a lot of Crash Bandicoot. I'm not saying we necessarily can go a stretch without it, but I feel like Toys for Bob is going to get a chance to work on Crash Bandicoot 5. I just think it's going to be a lot longer in the future than we had initially thought and hoped for. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Crash. I'm thinking if I ever get a tattoo, my first gaming tattoo, I think it's going to be Crash. It's got to be.
Gotta be.
I don't know if I'll ever get a gaming tattoo or a tattoo at all.
Not Duke.
No, that's just a guy. Duke is just a macho guy. Like I don't need that on my arm. I'm already a macho. Look at me. I'm basically I have the body of Duke Nukem. Is what I'm trying to say.
You bear you.
And I can say that because you can really only see me from here up. So
would you get the mask? Like what would your Crash Bandicoot
what
be?
I said.
I can't remember the name.
no,
of
the mask
Aku
is
Aku.
too. I like them. I like a Aku, but it's too tribal. I'm not getting like
Don't be a bitch about
thorns or tribal symbols on me. I'm not that tough.
You could be like every 90s dad, though.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean maybe, but I just I love Crash himself so much that.
Can we revise our
No.
our resolution
Get a
punishments?
tattoo.
No?
Yeah. I'll do it.
Oh, I don't. That wouldn't be too bad of a punishment if I got to pick it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a matter of my thing about tattoos is I've always thought like, oh, that'd be cool to have a tattoo of, but I've never thought that for long enough to actually go do it. So I'm like, well, if I didn't want it long enough to get it, I probably wouldn't care about it long enough to want it forever. The only thing that I definitely was like, when Emily and I got married, we were like, we should get each other's like fingerprints tattooed on each other. That'd be cool. And then we looked up some pictures of it, and some people were like, don't do this. And it's just a picture of a black blob because like as you age or as because it's such thin lines as you get a little older.
It's got to be huge.
Yeah, you got to get like on your whole back a tramp stamp of the other person's thumbprint. But it just becomes a black circle then. So it's like, well, what good did that do me?
Yeah, I felt that way for a long time about tattoos, but I think I've reached the point where it's just like, fuck it, like I might die tomorrow. And so as long as I don't get like a dick tattooed across my forehead, as long as I'm not that reckless, it's like,
You can just get like a little tiny one.
That's actually probably a better call.
No, like a tiny dick tattooed across your forehead.
Yeah, you know how people do the teardrop? Just like a little cock and balls right there. Imagine. Someone has to have had it.
I have
position
no
it perfectly
problem.
though, so that when you cry, the water comes out of the end of the urethra of the dick.
I'm gonna need a true artisan to be able to pull off this level of intricacy.
It's gonna be the greatest tattoo you've ever seen.
I've never seen a tattoo greater. That ginger
Brandon.
kid, he's got something going on.
You like Crash, Brandon?
I do like Crash.
Yeah.
I'm a Crash fan ever since PS1. And this is kind of sad news, especially from someone who was on the team saying that we would have been really sad to see it go. So that kind of makes me wonder what was going on. We have talked about Crash a lot over the years. It's had its ups and downs. I feel like it's been a lot more up recently than down, but there has been some down. With Crash 4 selling like 5 million copies, though, I really genuinely
It was more than that, I think, wasn't it?
It's saying here that it surpassed that. So let's just say conservatively 5 million.
Right.
Yeah, I really thought this meant that we were going to get more Crash. And we did. To be fair, we did after Crash 4. But I thought this would mean more mainline games. And that's kind of what I had speculated for a while now. But I don't know if this is kind of, them going independent and now they lost some funding. So it's like now we just hammer down on what we have most of our resources in. And we have to kind of push some other things to the side. I would hope that whatever work has been done on these two projects is kind of preserved and maybe picked up at a later date, especially if it's seemingly something pretty interesting and worthwhile.
Right. Yeah.
But I would much rather these ideas get shelved than canned. And I guess it will never be incredibly clear what will shake out, obviously, in the nitty gritty of the studio. Only they'll know that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It kind of sucks, but they're not going to stop making games. They're not getting shut down as a studio, so I guess it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
We'll
they're
see.
privately owned now, so they can do whatever they want as long as they
Right.
have the license to do it. So
Right.
yeah,
It's still just, it does suck, but
Yeah.
I guess it's the way of the road.
indeed. All right, let's move on to another story. This one's about Valve, and this is from an article from The Verge. And I'm actually just gonna pull this up full screen because there's a lot of charts here. This comes from The Verge. Jay Peters wrote it, and I don't want to read this whole thing, but I will read a paragraph or two. Valve is a famously secretive company with an enormous influence on the gaming industry, particularly because it runs the massive PC gaming storefront Steam. But despite that influence, Valve isn't a large organization on par with EA or Riot Games' thousands of employees. According to leaked data we've seen, as of 2021, Valve employed just 336 staffers. It's 336 employees as of a few years ago. The data was included as part of an otherwise heavily redacted document from an antitrust lawsuit against Valve, as spotted by SteamDB creator. Some data in the document was viewable despite the black redaction boxes, including Valve's headcount and gross pay across various parts of the company over 18 years, and even some data about its gross margins that we weren't able to uncover fully. So, they've got data in here all the way from 2003 all the way up through 2021, which is when they said there were 336 staffers. One data point that Ray or Jay found interesting, he says, was Valve worked with its games payroll spending in 2017 at $221 million. They didn't release any new games that year, but that spending could have gone towards supporting like Dota. And by 2021, it was down to $192 million. Another, as of 2021, Valve employed just 79 people for Steam, which is one of the most influential gaming storefronts on the planet. So what I'm seeing here, I'm trying to pull this up. There aren't a lot of people, even at 300 and some people, for a company like Valve, who maybe they don't really make a whole lot of games anymore, at least that we see very much of, but they've got Steam to run, which there are seemingly an infinite amount of number of jobs that you could have for Steam and for the store in general.
Right.
Very lean company, and their employees seem to be rather well paid if the averages they're putting out and the number of employees that are there are accurate. So, Brandon, I wanted you to see what you thought about this. Seems like they're cooking, man.
Yeah. I mean, they're absolutely, and this is undoubtable. We always say this: the money is hand over fist. And this is no surprise based on the numbers they do, but seeing how many employees they're paying makes it even more apparent. It is a little strange to me that a company of this magnitude has such little headcount. I think that whenever we question why Steam does something or a lack thereof of something on the service, maybe this is our answer: is that the headcount is much lower than you would assume a company like this would be. We've talked about review bombing. Maybe they should try and find a way of moderating that, and making it so that way, instead of when people are mad at a game, it's a better representation of the game itself and not just the opinion someone currently has of the game, outside of its gameplay. But yeah, I guess this kind of speaks for itself. I mean, it's also interesting to see how many people are working on the hardware, with a $17 million budget in 2021. Yeah, this is just kind of crazy, boys. Hand over fist. And I think it's kind of twofold here. I think that a company being small gives you the advantage of having like a really close knit, dedicated community inside. And when people are happy, they produce well. But I think there's also a sweet spot when if you have too many people, it kind of dilutes the company and you can kind of plateau. So I don't know if this is the sweet spot. I feel like they probably could do with a little bit more moderation throughout Steam, maybe a little bit more features. But apparently they're doing just fine. So I didn't know what you boys thought of it, but yeah, this is crazy to me. I would have never guessed this. I would have guessed double or triple the amount of employees, to be completely honest with you. So,
Dave, your impressions, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of explains their they've always seemed to have had a singular focus. People have said for years where it's Half-Life 3, and now we know why. It's they have the storefront, which is their thing, but then they'll spend some time on the Index or developing the Steam Deck or developing Half-Life Alyx, and it kind of goes to show that this is a company that kind of does what they want when they want. And I look at these numbers and I do kind of give them a bit of a grain of salt, because I suspect that these numbers do not include contract staff, and I suspect a company like Steam does rely on a pretty high number of contract staff when they are in the midst of pretty big projects. But I did pull out some averages of this, all from 2021. So in 2021, on the hardware side, the average salary was $432,000. On the game side, the average salary was $1.062 million. On the Steam side, the average salary was $967 million. And Brandon, if you were lucky enough to work in the admin department, the average salary in 2021 was $4.5 million. Obviously, that means there's just as many making above $4.5 million as is below. So, yeah, but they're is can I get an application or something? I got my resume is ready to go.
Get an application. I can tell you that. I've looked.
I'm a real hard worker guy.
I think the average across all their departments is 1.3 million, but of course that probably includes, I would imagine that includes Gabe. He's probably making a couple million at least a year. That's going to include your, not only your salary, but your benefits, your fringe benefits, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they packed all that stuff in there, because again, this was reporting for a lawsuit that was against them, so they want to present as well as they can. Not that they're going to make up numbers, but they're certainly going to say like, oh, you get a half an hour break, that's probably worth 50,000. What, I'm just making that up, but so I'm sure that these numbers are inflated over what they're actually taking home in their paychecks, but they're not hurting, and they're smart, because they're not overhiring, it doesn't seem, unless there's even less need for people, which doesn't seem to be the case. They're certainly not hurting for people, and if they're paying them well, they're such a secretive company that why would you ever jeopardize? Let's say you are making $1 million as a programmer or something at Valve. Why would you ever jeopardize that? Ever? I can't imagine why. So smart. Just put out some more games for us. Put out some more games. We make some more money. We'll pay you more.
Gotta up the numbers, man.
Did you guys recently see
181 staff?
The Steam pile of shame? Did you see that thing going around?
No.
I forget what the actual numbers were, but there was like a Steam pile of shame where they like calculated up all the games that everyone has in their library but has never bought. And of course, it's not entirely accurate, because some people's profiles are private, and this was like through SteamDB or something. And of course, there's lots of people who buy games for $10 when they're on sale, but they're really normally $20, but they calculated them at $20. I think the amount of money they calculated, though, with all those caveats, was something like, I'm hesitant to even say, but like $17 billion in games that have been purchased on Steam that have never been played, like even started up. But of course, I'm sure it's actually lower than that of what's been spent, but that's still an insane amount.
I'm curious, Ben, because you work with Steam sometimes in with one of the other hats you wear. Are you how pissed off are you going to be like the next time you do something and Steam like screws up? Are you going to write an email like, I know how much money you make?
Yeah.
How dare you screw up?
That's the crazy part, though, and I know you're kidding, but the crazy part about Steam is they don't really mess up. Very rarely does Steam ever get anything wrong from the developer side. Like we're a very small developer, but like we almost never have any issues that they don't fix immediately. And I submit a support ticket, I get a response in under an hour 95% of the time, and usually it's under 10 minutes. And only a portion of them are like, check out this help article. So I think and they don't all seem like canned responses. Like there's people on call working for your support tickets for developers. And on the customer side, like, how many times have you really ever felt screwed over or heard anyone that's felt screwed over by Steam?
It just works.
It just works.
It just works.
It just works. Todd Howard could learn a thing or two,
He fucking really could.
Yeah. So they're paying their employees well. They're running like a well-operated machine, as far as I can tell, and or well-oiled machine. And yeah, I had Dave. You made that joke, and maybe it wasn't even a joke, but you made the comment about how can I get a job there. I with zero irony here, I am telling you, I look at their website to try to find something. I have looked all over a minimum of once a month, just because I'm like, who wouldn't want to work for Valve? Now, do I want to pack up and move across the country? Because I'm pretty sure they are all mostly in the office. Uh, Probably not, but if the money was right, probably. You know, it's not all about money to me. I do care about work-life balance and all that kind of stuff, but um, it'd be tough to turn down if they had a really cool like marketing position that I could work in. I'd be fun to work for Valve, and you probably get like whitelisted, and you could have all the games you ever wanted to play. You know, what do I know?
Damn.
Let's talk about Starfield.
Why?
This article comes from fandomwire.com is where I'm reading from here. I've just gotten lazy in the last couple weeks, guys. Not really lazy. I'm just really busy and haven't been writing them out myself. So I'm telling you where they're from. There's a new hot rumor going around that has gotten fans talking, and it's about Starfield and Indiana Jones potentially getting announced for the PlayStation 5. Nothing is set in stone, but it's causing quite a stir amongst console fanboys, of course. For a while, it seemed like Xbox players would be the only ones getting their hands on these titles, and for a while that was the case with Starfield. So this news might be disappointing to their fans. The game was a big deal when it was announced on an Xbox exclusive as an Xbox exclusive, skipping PlayStation consoles altogether. Microsoft, which owns Bethesda, made it clear that it was banking on this game to draw players to their console and Game Pass as well. Indiana Jones, being developed by Machine Games, who is also under Bethesda's umbrella, was also assumed to be an exclusive. The idea that these games might jump up to the PlayStation makes some sense, given the publisher's flexible exclusive strategy. Fans have been pretty vocal about their feelings over on X, Twitter. Sorry, I'm not calling it X. You'll find a bunch of fans expressing their frustration. Xbox fans in particular are feeling a bit betrayed. They bought into the idea that these games were exclusives, and now the possibility of them going multi-platform is not sitting well. Some are even saying they'd feel cheated if these games ended up on PlayStation. Boys, a couple months ago, we saw a few other Xbox first-party games come to PlayStation. Some of them were smaller than others, like Pentiment. And then you have things like Sea of Thieves that, even though it's been out for 6 years, is still raking in millions of dollars. Can you imagine what happens if Starfield and Indiana Jones go to PS5? Because at this point, they don't need you to buy a console. As a matter of fact, they're encouraging you not to buy a console. They're saying, here's a Fire Stick and a controller for $75. Have fun. Get Game Pass Ultimate. We want your subscription money. Dave, it's a pretty different strategy. But how would you feel? I mean, I know you have an Xbox. I know you have a PlayStation. Starfield and Indiana Jones? I know you're not interested in Starfield, but Indiana Jones. If you had the choice between playing on Game Pass and playing on PlayStation, where do you pick? I know where you pick, actually. I don't know why I even asked. But.
Yeah, I'd go PlayStation just because the Xbox hardware that I have is a Series S, which is inferior. But I don't know. It kind of signals that the Pentiment grounded Sea of Thieves experiment was a success. And we kind of already knew that, the way that Sea of Thieves rose to the top of the pre-order charts on PSN. So this is no surprise. And I'm just going to be really annoyed when like Starfield comes to PlayStation and then suddenly everybody loves Starfield and the Sony bump is exposed. Anyways, it's just a matter of time, and you know, from a business standpoint, it just makes sense. Like the last two generations have killed the Xbox, and Microsoft has spent all this time and money gobbling up all of these developers and IP, and it just makes sense to put it in a spot where as many people as possible can play it. We talked about earlier with the failed iOS experiment with Capcom. This is a similar kind of approach where it's just like, you know, why strand good software on hardware that nobody actually has? So, I mean, this is just another step. I think when it's going to be really weird is like when we see Marcus Phoenix and Master Chief running on a PlayStation. I don't know if it's going to go that far, but it kind of seems like that might be where we're going. But I don't know if that is the case. Like as you said, Ben, like what is the point of owning an Xbox? Is this going to be a similar situation to like Sony is treating its exclusives now, where they're on PlayStation only for like a year and a half, and then you start to see them come on PC? Is it going to be the same thing where like the next Gears of War is going to be on Xbox and PC Game Pass at first, but then after a year and a half or so, it's going to show up on PlayStation? Because I mean, in that case, like there's a reason for me to own an Xbox, because I want to play the next Gears of War day one, and I don't want to have to wait 1 to 2 years to play it on my PlayStation. So if that's the case, then okay, fine, it's not that big of a deal. But the way Microsoft has kind of been moving it, I feel like they're going in a different direction where there is no Xbox, and that's just such a weird future to me. And I'm gonna miss the heydays of like the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era, where like Sony and Microsoft were having to work so hard to compete with each other and coming out with like just awesome IP. And we're so far past that now, and it's just kind of sad. So I don't know what the next 10 years of gaming is going to look like, but Microsoft really seems to be moving in kind of like that Sega direction, where it's like we're not going to make the hardware anymore, and we're just going to make really good software and put it everywhere. But then like what is Sony's push, and is what happens after the PlayStation 6? Like, are we just, is it not a console war, is it a streaming war now, or sorry, a subscription war, where it's just we're talking about the different streaming or subscription services for gaming? That's kind of where it seems to be going, and that kind of sucks. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Microsoft is just making the best business decisions that they can right now, and yeah, it's too bad, because I really enjoyed when Sony and Microsoft were going at each other's throats. So, rip.
Brandon, put yourself in your own shoes 2 years ago, before you had a PC, or at least a good PC.
Right.
You've got a PlayStation, but to play a game, to play Indiana Jones, I think came out 2 years ago on PlayStation, you got to pay $70. Or on this Xbox that nothing else comes out on, you can get Game Pass and play it for a couple bucks. Which one are you picking? Because there's a lot of people in that position where they got to choose between playing it on Game Pass or playing it for $70 that don't have a PC. Can't get Game Pass on PC, whatever. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious choice, unless I had abundant monies, is the cheaper option. And that's what a lot of people are going to end up doing. I think this is a net positive for Microsoft in general. Aside from the whole push away from hardware, I think that this serves them in no other way than a positive way, because I do think Starfield will do incredibly well. And yes, we did see it, the pre-order bonuses, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, the Sea of Thieves has been charting on PlayStation consistently since launch.
I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Yeah, I don't know about the most recent month, but before that, yeah.
Consistently. So this is a net positive. And even for people that, I think the people that are upset by this, and you even kind of said it in the article here, Ben, is that like people were saying, I bought this with the idea of it being exclusive. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because if it came out on another console and you had an Xbox, would they not have bought it? I just don't think that's the way people work. And
I mean, it influences. I can understand if it influences. Like, if I only have enough money to buy one console and I really want to play X game and it's only on one of those consoles, then I'm going to pick that one because of that. I understand it from that perspective, but not I bought this game because it was exclusive. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. And also the landscape is completely changing. Like in the past 2 years, it's completely changed. So I feel like there's a little bit of old hat and a little bit of old mindset of people that just like don't understand that this is the play for Xbox. And if you're truly, truly, truly an Xbox fan and a Microsoft fan, then you would want what's best for them. And I think releasing this software on other platforms will do nothing but print them money. And that's just the reality of it. I don't have any problem with this, and especially as someone who is playing predominantly on PC now, I especially don't have any problem with this. But yeah, it is a little bit strange. I do agree with Dave. I think that competition is what's best for this space, and I think that both of the companies striving to be the best they possibly could. I'm thinking mostly in the 360 era. I mean, obviously there was a clear winner there, but the PS3 had some chops. It was just strange hardware. Like it was powerful hardware. And some of the games that came out on it were amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this kind of I'm worried about Sony if Microsoft isn't really pushing as hard as they were in the hardware space. I don't want to think that Sony will get complacent, but I don't know, man. It's a company and it needs to make money. So if they need to cut corners on tech because the next Xbox isn't coming out and it can just be a nominal upgrade, they might. They might just tend to the lowest common denominator. And I love this step up we got in this latest generation, and I want to keep seeing that going forward. But if we don't have other competitors in the hardware market in this sphere that aren't just straight up a PC or a handheld, I don't know, boys. I'd be scared that Sony would kind of cut corners. Not necessarily because I don't think they want to make a good console, but because they want to make as much money as they possibly can, and they're incredibly frugal and have showed that many, many times over and over.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, I think you need to have the competition for Sony to keep producing. Like, I mean, I think Sony's doing great, but I think in order for them to keep doing great, they need to have some incentive because otherwise, like, what's to stop you from slowing down a little bit?
that's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, I'm not saying they wouldn't still do good stuff, but like, would it take a little longer?
And like, if there wasn't any competition, could they be putting like I'm not saying this sounds outlandish, but bear with me. Could they go the iPhone model and be like, hey, can we try and pump people every single year for something different? I'm not saying that even makes 100% sense, but like I'm saying when you have less competition like the iPhone had, like that's what it breeds is like less and less innovation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a scary future for me as far as PlayStation goes. And as like a PlayStation guy, like through and through, PC is a new thing for me. Like, I don't know. I would be worried that they would slip up. So as much as I don't want to see hardware go from Microsoft, and it's probably how they're going to survive, like it's kind of bad for the ecosystem. It's bad for the hardware ecosystem. So
Yeah, agreed. Moving on. This one's really small. I don't even know why I put it in here, quite frankly. Matter of fact, you know what? We're gonna skip it. Here's what it was.
fuck this.
There's potential for GTA Plus to come out on Switch. GTA Online is not even out on Switch. Dave's really excited about it. I can tell.
How could that even run, bro?
Quote, okay, we will talk about it for a minute. The service offers members access to rotating selection of Rockstar titles, including L.A. Noire, Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, all of which are already on the Switch. Subscribers to the service get exclusive in-game perks for GTA Online, such as extra cash, cars, cosmetics, and special events. GTA 5 and GTA Online are not even on the Switch, so it seems like that you'd be missing out on some of that potential unless you're playing it somewhere else as well. But Brandon asked the question, could it even run? I mean, it is technically a PS3 360 game, so probably could, but I still don't think it'd be good on the Switch. I still don't think it'd be good. I wouldn't want to play it on the Switch.
Well, here's the thing I wonder is that if you have GTA Plus already, like let's say you're playing on your PS5 and you have a Switch and you want to play Red Dead, I think you would just like get extra perks. Like, so I don't know if this is for people that only have a Switch.
Right.
Because even the photo you have here, it's like it says you could play it on any platform. So I guess you could genuinely just like
that's a good
rotate.
point. Yeah, if you had GTA Plus and you had a Switch and you were using it for GTA Online on your computer or something, but then you were like, oh, I really want to play Red Dead Redemption on the go.
Right.
I guess that could be a benefit, but
right.
I don't know. I don't really care about this. I don't know why I included it. Dave, do you have any?
Yeah, Rockstar's strategy here is you could play Red Dead Redemption on your PlayStation, which is kind of like watching Dune on an airplane.
Yeah.
Or
on your
you
iPhone.
could play Red Dead Redemption on your Switch, which is kind of like seeing Dune in IMAX.
Yeah.
So they're kind of giving the range of experiences here, but yeah, I don't know. I could see myself playing some of their older catalog on my Switch, which I actually think is kind of cool. But obviously some of the newer stuff I it's again, it's very similar to the iOS stuff. I don't know why I would. And as Brandon says, I'm surprised some of the newer stuff would even run on Switch. But
Yeah.
hey, they made The Witcher work, so why not?
I have LA Noir for the Switch. I have never installed it. I've never played it. I had another game that I didn't want that I like got for free, and somebody on a website I was on was like, "I'll trade you this for that," and I was like, "Yeah, sure." I'll play LA Noir on Switch, and I never did. But even that, like on the front of the cover, it says like, I think the cart may contain like less than a gig, and you have to download all the rest of it, and you definitely can't put it even on the memory that's on the Switch. If I'm remembering correctly, you have to have a SD card. You have to use up half of it. So
You should mention that in your Steam interview. Just
In my Steam
they're
interview?
like, what qualifies you for this job, and just say, I own LA Noire on Switch.
I own LA Noir on Switch.
When can
yes.
you start?
It reminds me of I forget what book it was, but in The Office, somebody asked Michael Scott, "Have you ever read this book?" And he's like, "Read it? I own it." But no, I've never read it.
Most people's copies of the Bible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right, boys. It's time to talk about what we've been playing. Brandon, we're going to start with you because I see Fortnite on here, and I'm interested to know what's going on in Fortnite.
Yeah, honestly, it's abysmal.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. This season is not good. I haven't enjoyed it. The new metas are awful. It's essentially a car meta and a fist meta. And
A car
it's not
meta?
Yeah, like so the new thing is like cars, right? And your
Okay.
cars have cow catchers and big tires and bulletproof tires and have like either a machine gun or a grenade launcher on the top, and you could just tank matches. I mean, there's like ways to counteract it, like there's EMP grenades and there's like magneto fists, but yeah, it's just kind of weird, man. Like I want to just fight with guns. I miss that Fortnite. And
Is that, sorry to interrupt you, is that like discouraged? Like, is there, can you still fight? I haven't even watched any of it, so I'm trying to grasp what it is.
Yeah, no, of course you could still fight with guns, but
Mhm.
what a guy's going to come up to you with power fists and slam you into the air, and then come up to you and punch you for 50 damage like 3 times in a row, and you're going to die. So, yeah, the fisting cars meta exactly. Ed's got it, but it's really bad. And I don't like it. But the only reason I've been playing it is because I've been playing with people. To be honest with you, boys, I said I was like in a weird lull last week. I'm still in that, and I've only really been playing when I'm playing with other people.
Yeah.
And I've been playing with family, so it's been a lot of fun. But there is one new thing that I didn't know they brought. And do you guys remember Resurgence from Call of Duty?
Yep.
Small map, constantly rebooting if your team doesn't die. That's a thing now.
Okay.
In Fortnite, and it's actually pretty cool. It's actually I just found out last night it's a thing, and it's exactly what I was looking for, because not only does it not have cars, it doesn't have fists, and it has the old map. So it's a portion of the old map. It has tilted towers and everything, and all the old guns. And you just keep fighting, which is what I love to do in the game to begin with. Like I would fight 10 out of 10 times. If I got a bunch of kills and died, that's almost more satisfying to me than a win. Like I like fighting. That's the point of the game to me.
Right.
So I push everything. But yeah, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now, because I just found out it was the thing last night. But that is my new preferred game out. So I'll be checking that out a little bit more. I'm not a huge fan of this season, like I said, but the battle pass has the power armor in it, and I'm like 1 tier away from getting the power armor. So I have the points. If I get to it, I might just get it to get the power armor. But yeah, it's been all right. Yeah, the battle pass, right? So,
nice.
Yeah, it's been fine. I really, really, genuinely need to get back to Elden Ring. But I've been in like a weird spot. So
yeah,
I will get back to it. But honestly, that's it, boys. That's all I've been playing. I can't wait to hear about what y'all are doing though, because Ben, we don't have to go to you, but I am excited to hear about one of the things you're going to talk about. So,
well, I just wanted to say that you're talking about you need to get back to Elden Ring, and this isn't necessarily directed at you. This is just in general. My mantra lately to everyone has been play what you want to play when you want to play it.
Right.
Like, I'm so tired of the people who are like, well, I want to play this, but I got to get back to this other game before I get there. And of course, with all the live service games, it can be hard. But I'm talking about like people who are like, well, I got 4 games that came out in 2023 I haven't played yet. I got to play those. I can't buy something. And I'm like, just play what you want to play when you want to play it.
True.
Quit buying games that you're not going to play right now. I've started doing that in the last couple of years, and it's been immensely helpful. Then, I mean, sometimes you get things like epic free offers and all that kind of stuff where you're like, well, I gotta pick this up because it's free, and that's different. But if you want to play something, just play it. And if you don't want to play something else, like Brandon, if you're not in the mood to play Elden Ring, I don't think you gotta feel bad about that. Just don't play Elden
Yeah.
Ring.
Yeah. The thing is weirdly enough, like I really want to watch content about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm in a weird spot where like I've just wanted to sit and watch things other than
Yeah.
play them recently, unless I'm like hanging out with somebody.
I get in that mood too. Yeah.
So like that's the weird thing is I really desperately want to watch content about the DLC, but I can't because
Yeah.
I'm sure it would be fine ultimately. But yeah, I'll get back to it when I get back to it. So
Davey Wavy, what do you got for us?
I've been playing mostly Doom Eternal. I think I just got into like the last third of the game. Again, just a reminder, I'm going really slow because I'm trying to get all of the collectibles and all of the upgrades and everything. And I
Are you
don't
using
think
a guide
no,
for the collectibles? Okay.
you don't really need to. I mean, the,
I
the map
was
is
just
so
wondering.
good, and
Dude,
once
the
you
map is
unlock a few
so
things,
good.
like
Thank
it's
you.
really easy to find stuff. And actually, this is a big improvement over 2016 because I can remember wrestling with the map in 2016.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for everything like I am, the map is actually pretty generous. So yeah, not using a guide. I don't think I'm gonna go for the platinum just because I don't really want to do the multiplayer stuff. But even without the platinum, I think I'll be pretty happy that I will have seen pretty much all that the campaign has to offers. And again, 2/3 of the way through the game, I am loving Doom Eternal. It's so fucking good. I did come across my first Marauder in Doom Eternal, and I can recall when this game first came out. This was a bit of a controversial enemy, so I knew it was coming, and I was a little bit nervous about what it would actually be like, and I'm a little torn on this Marauder enemy because he's a really cool enemy. He's got a really cool design with like his shield and like a shotgun and this like dog that he can throw at you. And he looks like, of all the enemies that you see in the Doom universe, this is the one that actually looks like he could go toe to toe with the Doom Slayer. I think his attacks are cool. I think his like intro was really cool, but I don't know that the Marauder really fits in Doom because in fighting him, I just kind of found myself standing at like mid range and just waiting for him to do his attack because he has one attack that you have to wait for in order to do any damage to him, which is very counter to what I think Doom is all about, which is fast movement, using all of your arsenal and just ripping and tearing. And with this, you're just kind of waiting around. And in your first encounter with the Marauder, it's a boss fight. So it's just you and him and a couple of ads that you use to farm for health and ammo and stuff. But I've since encountered him in a Slayer gate, and he was just obnoxious. His dogs were constantly attacking me. He was just like a distraction, and like waiting for him to do this one attack in like a sea of other enemies in a Slayer gate, which is super hard, is just, it's obnoxious, and it made the game not fun. So I'm kind of thinking about this the way we're talking about Emmys in Metroid Dread, where it's kind of like some people love them, some people hate them. I don't know if that's the case with the Marauder, but I'm definitely in the, this is a cool enemy, I like it, but it doesn't fit in Doom, and he's kind of an asshole. So that's where I stand on the Marauder. But hopefully this time next week I can talk about finishing Doom Eternal. There's a couple of really cool games coming to Game Pass tomorrow, I believe. One is called Dungeons of Hinterberg, and the other is the Flintlock game that we talked about from Summer Games Fest. So I hope to check those two out.
We checked out Dungeons of Hinterberg at PAX one year, I think.
I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking of Dungeons of Nihilubuk.
Oh, you're right.
Something.
You're right.
Yeah,
I don't
Brandon,
know.
I
Yeah.
think, previewed that game.
Yeah. I did not like it.
Yeah, so the other game that I just checked out really briefly it's an indie game called Fumes. Fumes plural. It's on Steam. It's actually not out yet, but there is a free demo. and this is a car combat game. It's got this really cool grungy pixel art visual style that I think goes really well with its kind of post-apocalyptic Mad Max look about it. And it's car combat, which I think is kind of an underserved genre. If you grew up on Twisted Metal like I did, then you'll be right at home with this. So easy and simple to control, just WASD and your mouse. And yeah, just really fun, kind of silly. Again, it's not out yet. I don't even think it has a release date, but it has a short demo that I think people should check out. So yeah, Fumes. It's made by one guy. So yeah, it was a lot of fun playing that
Yeah,
game.
I gotta open a new tab and put it in there so I remember to look it up later.
Visually, it looks fucking cool though.
I think it took 25 seconds to install too. That's the nice part about indie demos is you
Right.
install them and play them in the same minute. So yeah,
That's cool. Nice.
that's it for me.
Speaking of install times, boys, I already have pretty good download speed, but I have 1,000 download. My upload from my internet is 20 megasecond, which is obviously terrible. Next week, boys, I'm getting fiber installed. They just literally, not even like where Brandon lives, less than a mile away from me. There's no fiber. They just told me they have fiber available here. 2 terabyte up, 2 terabyte down.
Ooh,
It's $4 less than I'm paying now a month. No contract.
dang.
So it's amazing. I'm like, I'm in. I'm doing it. So it's installed next week. Pretty excited about it. That's what I've been playing. No, that's not true. I've been playing 2 things. Mostly. One is called Once Human. And this is a free-to-play, essentially MMO survival crafting game. I don't even know that you can really put tags on this game because it's so many different things, but it has survival crafting and there's a lot of people in the world with you and you do raids and dungeons and stuff. So
Is it like Ark?
no, not like, I mean, maybe the gameplay wise, but it's nothing like structurally like Ark, at least. There's a little bit like Ark. Ark definitely has more of the survival crafting mechanics for sure. It's got the survival mechanics where you got to eat, you got to drink. It's got the crafting mechanics where you got to find materials to build, etc. But this is a game that just came out recently. It had a couple betas before, and people were receiving it really well. But it's kind of nice because unlike a lot of survival crafting games where you got to start out with your fist and punch a tree so you can get wood, so you can make a hammer, you basically start out with like all those very basic things that you need for survival crafting games right out of the gate. And the story is complex and overcomplicated, to be honest. And I don't 100% even understand it, partially because I don't care, if I'm being fair about it. I just haven't paid that much attention. But basically, there's a bunch of essentially zombies, and then you got to kill them. So you go in, you got to gather resources, gather materials, do the whole survival crafting, building a house thing. And then you have these different zones. And in each different zone you go to, you basically, you collect a certain amount of things. You find the nice weapon crates. You find the mega chest or whatever it is, and you collect resources, and then you kill enemies, and then eventually you go at the end of that area, you go and you fight a boss, and then you move on. You go back to your base, you build what you can, you move on to another base. So there's a nice little loop to it. It's pretty fun, I guess I would say. The parts that appeal to me the most are not the raid part of it, or even the combat part. It's really the survival crafting, and I know that's come as a surprise to everyone, but that is also probably one of the weaker parts of the game. But it's there, and I like it, and it's interesting because you can be in a PvE world or a PvP world, and of course in a PvP world you still have to do PvE, and in the PvE world I guess there's a way for you to do PvP if you so choose. I haven't quite gotten to that point yet, or discovered it. And like I said, it's free to play. I didn't realize this, but apparently it's on iOS devices as well. It doesn't, like, I'm playing the game and I'm like, I don't want to, how could you possibly play this on an iOS device? But people are doing it, and it's available there. And the monetization, they've not once presented me with anything to buy. I'm sure if I went hunting for it, I could find it, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. So that makes it appealing to me as well, that they're not constantly like, you can craft this 25% faster if you buy these gems. Like, there's none of that. So far, at least, like I said. And I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. I was kind of interested in, it's not real. They're not actually zombies, but they're zombies. Might as well be. and interested in the zombie game, and also interested in survival crafting, of course. So I'm having fun with it. You can be in the. I don't have any friends. I mean, I haven't played with any friends, but you can play with your friends in the same world. Be
I want to peep
collaborative.
it.
Yeah, be collaborative on building things and crafting and everything. So it's definitely it's been fun. I've played probably between 6 and 8 hours of it. I plan on playing a little bit more, or definitely probably a lot more if I can get a little deeper into it. But yeah, I like the loop of it, and again, like it's got a survival crafting element to it that doesn't seem to get stale yet because you're constantly grinding for stuff. The one thing I don't love about this game, I think at some point there's going to be a wipe. Like there'll be regular wipes, like there are in a lot of survival crafting. You know, like Rust has wipes and everything. And so getting to, building up your base is fun, but at the same time, I'm like, well, if they're just going to wipe all this and all my progress and my stats and everything, is it worth it? I'm going to have to go back and do the same things all over again. We've yet to see how those are going to pan out and what you'll keep and what you won't keep, but I'm interested none the least, at least to stick it out through the first wipe. And if I absolutely hate when that happens, it's fine. I've had my time with it. And if I don't, then great. Perfect. The other thing I checked out was the Concord beta. Concord is, of course, PlayStation's new live service shooter, I guess you could say. It's like a mix between an arena shooter and a hero shooter. And I played it on PC on Steam. I was given a code for Steam. I did not pre-order it, but I was able to give it a shot. And I gotta say, a lot of people are really super down on this game, but I very much have enjoyed it thus far. Or I played about. I don't have Steam pulled up right now, but I think I want to say between 7 and 8 hours, something like that. It seems right. And I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, it's definitely not reinventing the wheel, but you have, I think there's 10 or 12 different characters you can pick from. They each have their own weapons and their own abilities. And you go out and you use them and you can play. They had 4 different modes available during the beta. They had basically a kill confirm mode, team deathmatch kind of mode. They had a capture the point mode, and then they had one where you had to collect some kind of crate and take it to a point and secure, keep it protected for X amount of time. And that was fun too. The nice part about, or the cool part about those latter 2 modes were that they were basically the first 2 modes I mentioned, TDM and kill confirmed. It's free for all. You pick whoever you want as long as somebody else doesn't have them, whatever. In the other modes, you enter in and it like gives you a randomized order of your team. You have maybe 10, 15 seconds to choose a character. And then you go in, you play with them. And once you die, you don't respawn until the next round. At the beginning of the next round, you can pick any character you want again when it's your turn, as long as nobody else has picked them. And as long as you haven't played as them before. So it also forces you not to get stuck into playing the same character and over and over again. I know other hero shooters or games like that have that kind of mechanic, but the way they do it is just a slight enough different to give it a little bit of shine. But that's only that one mode, like I mentioned. The problems I have with Concord are it's fun. Like I had fun with it. I think it looks great. It felt great to me. Some people complained that the movement wasn't fast enough. I have a theory that a lot of them didn't turn up their FOV high enough, but maybe you still felt that way even if you did. Like I said, I had fun with it, but I'm concerned because of a couple things. One, there's no real big differentiating factor between this and any other random shooter, hero shooter, whatever. There's nothing that says like I have to play this because they have that one mechanic I really love. The characters aren't really that great. They've got a weird, like there's a story going on, and they're going to have weekly, little vignettes or I don't know, videos to tell the story, but I don't care about the story. And for me, that's okay because I don't need to care about the story. But for many people who want to care about the story, that's going to be disappointing. It potentially could be disappointing because I didn't think it was very good. What was there? The other thing is that this is a $40 game. And while I think that it is good to have games that are, that people pay for, I think the environment we're in right now where all the biggest shooters, all the biggest things like this are free. If you're somebody who plays Overwatch or Warzone or something like that, and you're already playing for free and you like those games, I don't think this game is enough to beat them out. And I don't think that even if it was, that it's worth the $40. Even if it's better, it's not $40 better to switch off from something else that you're already playing, that you have established time in, that you've met friends in. because people just expect this type of game to be free. Hit me with a bunch of cosmetics, no problem. Make me pay for stuff, or not make me pay for stuff. Enable me to pay for stuff, and I'm probably going to if it's free to play. But at $40, you can pretty much bet I'm not going to buy anything in the game if I do buy the game. And I'm not even sure I'm going to buy the game at this point, even though I had a purely fun time playing it. So, Brandon, you had said you were really interested in this one. I think was the one you were asking about. And you're into shooters. If you
Yeah,
have
no.
questions, hit me up.
Yeah, no, honestly, it was both. I had heard
Oh,
some
okay.
people talking about Once Human, and I didn't know much about it. And I wanted to kind of see what you thought. But also the Concord beta. I'm in the unique position where I now don't have PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
So even when it does come out, I will have to pay for it if I want to try it. So I don't know that
Well,
that's going to be something that.
I don't know that that's going to be free on PlayStation Plus, like when it actually comes out.
Oh, really? Because I thought
It-
someone said it was going to be.
I think it should be, because I don't know how many people are going to pay for it. But the beta was originally pre-order only, the closed beta, and then they said, okay, also if you have PlayStation Plus, the beta is free. I don't know if the actual game is going to be free.
Oh, okay. Well, even more so.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, dip my toes back into PlayStation Plus to try this enough. If I would have got a code, I would have tried it. But at that rate, I probably would be playing it on PC, and then either way,
Right.
I would be paying for it. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. It's just if my friends aren't playing it, I don't think I have a motivation at all to play it because exactly like you said, Ben. Between Fortnite, between Warzone, it's why would I?
Right.
So yeah, I actually want to watch some YouTube videos about this because I saw a couple clips, not extensive clips, like a couple minute long clips, but like 15, 20-second clips of this on Twitter. And it looks like it played fine, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it looked incredibly offensive. But then again, playing it is a different thing altogether. So I'm glad to hear you had a mostly positive experience with it, but I think it doesn't quite have the angle.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see this either go free to play or on PlayStation Plus within like 6 months. So,
Yeah.
Push,
if it takes that long.
Push Square had a really nice gameplay impression video
Mm-hmm.
that I just watched today. And this is not my kind of game, but one thing and this is a little thing, but jumped out at me about it is the UI is so sharp in this game.
Yeah.
Like the HUD and all the kind of fonts and visual elements and stuff. And the game looks really good. Like just even the character design and the graphics and stuff like that it makes me wish that there was like a single player campaign for this game, because I would have loved to have seen that. Now again, the scale was brought up for something like that, it probably wouldn't look as good, but it is a really, really good looking game for sure.
Well, I will say the game is beautiful. Like it's very detailed. Everything looks crisp in it as well. And I was playing on PC. I heard people who were playing on PS5 say very similar things. So I think it does look great, but that's not enough, right? Like the game has to have some incentive to get you to play, to get you to buy the game. The game has to have something that's different than everything else.
right.
And if it's not going to do that, it needs to be free to play. Because sure, if a game's free to play, even if it doesn't look super appealing to me, there's like a good 70% chance I'll just download it and try it once. And if I like it, I'll keep playing it. And I think that if people played Concord, I think a lot of people would like it. But I think if you expect me to shell out $40 for it, not knowing if I like it, it's a different story. And again, like I'm not saying that about like big AAA games. I'm not saying that about whatever. I'm saying that about Concord. It doesn't have the appeal that it needs to have for people to buy it.
Right.
And it's in a genre where people expect free to play. AAA single player game, pay for it. Like that's fine. Pay for it, get a subscription, whatever you want. Just put out some money. But this is a game that needs to be. I think this is a game that isn't strong enough on its own to be able to charge $40 and still have people play. Now, with that said, and I think a lot of people share that opinion, but with that said, before Helldivers previews came out, I was like, Helldivers looks like it's not like it looks. Okay, maybe it'll be a little fun, but it's not gonna hit.
Right.
It's not gonna hit. And I was totally wrong on that one. So I could be wrong, but I think this is a much different scenario. So we'll see. Before I forget, that's all we got for the news. That's all we got about what we've been playing. But before I forget, I wanted to mention to you, Brandon, or I already mentioned this to you earlier, Brandon. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, if you have Amazon Prime, is free on Prime Gaming today and tomorrow only. If you do not have Amazon Prime and you want to get Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, You can do a free 7 or 30-day trial of Amazon Prime, and the code redeems not to your Amazon account, but it redeems to your Epic Games account. So even if you only have a free trial of Amazon and you redeem it to your Epic Store account, you'll have the game. So just a PSA out there for anybody. This is another game where I was like, well, I kind of want to play it, but I'm not going to buy it right now. I've got too much else to play. But for free, I'll pay it. And I was already looking. I haven't even booted up the game yet. And I was like, I wonder what the season passes cost. Because I'm an idiot. Don't forget, you can check us out on patreon.com/handsomephantom. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month there. Get ad-free early access to the show. If you don't want to be a patron, that's fine. You can get the show on Thursdays at 11 o'clock, or you can watch us live Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. We appreciate that. You can also hang out with... That sounded so dismissive. We appreciate that. Moving on. Hang out with us on Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord. We really appreciate those of you who are there and interact with us and interact with each other and building a little community there too. So, boys, anything left to say before we head on out of here and figure out the show title?
That's about
We
it.
love you.
We love you.
We love y'all.
The first I love you, the one that sparked all the others, was from Davey Wavy. So I want you all to remember that. With that, good night and big butts. That was from a show I used to watch.